So a lot of people have mixed feelings about March and March. And yeah, as you can see, this specific video is a little bit different to my other videos because in this video, it's just me talking to you guys, no edits, um, no analysis per se, just my thoughts on March and March, which of course will happen June 30th. So I'm seeing a lot of competing ideas online and even just with people who I talk to. So, on one hand, we see how a lot of people are saying they're very worried about it because they think that there's a big chance for violence, whether it be against illegal migrants or maybe even legal foreigners in the country. And then, of course, if the police get heavy handed with protesters. But then on the other hand, we have a lot of people who support March and March because they say, well, for this entire time, the government just never listens to us. And I've been thinking a lot about this, and I definitely understand both sides. But there's something that really bothers me personally. And this thing that really bothers me is just how it seems as if South Africans on all sides, they just absolutely lack compassion for one another. They just don't bother putting themselves in the shoes of other people. Now, I'm going to tell you something very personal to me. It's not something I share very much because it changed my life, but I'm going to explain it and then I'm going to relate it to what's happening in South Africa because I think it's a message that people actually need to take home. So, during the October 7th, 2023 attacks on Israel that were perpetrated by Hamas, I was in Israel. I saw it and experienced it with my own eyes. Oh, excuse me, I've got to compose myself here. Try not to get too emotional. But look, I know everybody's got their opinions on the Middle East conflict, but whether you're pro-Israel or pro-Palestine or whatever, just put that out of your mind because we're talking about the human element here. When you see the things that I saw, and I'm not going to go into detail, but when you see, for example, dead bodies, when you see blood splattered on the floors and the walls, and even in the days afterwards, when you see notices of people who you know who have been kidnapped, people who you know who have been murdered, and it's their funeral notice, it causes a pain that is unlike any other pain I've experienced in my life. And I'm sure many of you watching this have experienced lots of pain in your lives because that's life after all. But what I experienced, it's very hard to describe, but you almost feel like a hollowness, like something just ate at your soul, you know? You just feel as if you're just completely numb. And there were so many people I remember who basically were saying things, and I'm talking about even liberal people who sympathize with the Gazans, saying, well, after this and after what they've done to us, causing this pain, we just want to flatten that place, screw whoever's there. Now, obviously, this isn't their true feelings, that's not how they are, but the reason why they got so passionate like that, if we can call it, is because of what happened to them, because of the extreme pain that the people went through. And unfortunately, when you look at a lot of people overseas, they're very quick to judge the Israelis or whoever else. But what they don't understand is when you feel that kind of a pain, it changes you. Now, why am I speaking about this? Because that kind of level of pain is what a lot of South Africans feel, and people just do not take the time to think of them. I'm going to just paint you a picture, and you'll see what I mean. Pretend for a moment that you are impoverished. I don't care what race you are, doesn't matter, but just say you're impoverished and you live in a very difficult area. And imagine your kids go to school nearby. School placements were late. You've got a lot of illegal foreigners living in the area. Perhaps some illegal foreigners got into the school and your kids don't get a placement. So now all of a sudden you're without a placement. It happened in Gauteng just this year. Well, that's pretty frustrating. Now, suppose that when they get into school, when they do finally get placed, They come home one day with drugs. You wonder, well, where did you get these drugs? No, well, some people gave them to me. Who was it? Well, it was a couple of guys working for one of the Nigerian cartels nearby. You know, one of those nice drug trafficking cartels. It's another issue. Of course, you may have a daughter. Say she goes missing one day. You can't find her. Say she happened to get picked up by one of these human trafficking rings, which also exist in this country. It's also a very concerning thing. And I don't think a lot of people think about that. There are many different stories we can share, right? And unfortunately, unless you're in that situation, it's very hard to understand a different person's pain. Now, of course, when it comes to these big marches, there are the detractors, there are the troublemakers. I don't deny that there could be people that are opportunistic and want to commit crimes on the day. But let's ring fence that for a moment. Because at the same time, there are people in unimaginable pain in this country. People who are impoverished, who have lived their life full of hardships, and nobody ever gives them sympathy. All that people see when they see them is, oh, it's another troublemaker, oh, it's another xenophobe. But have people actually taken the time to just think for a moment about the kind of pain that these people feel when they go to a health clinic and they can't get medicine? Because unlike a lot of us, hey, I'm privileged enough to have private healthcare. Well, guess what? They don't have that option. And so when a Zimbabwean or a Malawian or whoever walks out with the last bit of medicine and they can't get any, how are they supposed to feel? Now, of course, talking about the march, I do not condone any violence whatsoever. I want to make that abundantly clear. I truly pray that June the 30th is a peaceful day. Please, God, may there be no violence, no vandalism of businesses, and really no violence against anyone. I don't want to see violence against illegal foreigners or legal foreigners or local South Africans or police. Please, God, may it be a peaceful day. But we have to ask ourselves, why did things get to this point? Why is there a need for march and march? And it's quite simple. For 32 years, there's been pretty much no borders in this country. And the government has never taken the time to actually say, oh, well, maybe there's a problem, we should fix it. It's never really been the top of their list. So ultimately, people have never been able to get help from the government. But when the time does come for protests, what do? You get a Jordan Hill Lewis or an ANC cadre standing up and saying, well, you guys better not cause any trouble. In fact, I remember Hill Lewis saying that we shouldn't have violence and chaos. You're accusing these people of violence and chaos before the protest has even begun. Now, I understand you don't want there to be violence and chaos. I'm right there with you. I agree. But you don't have to be so condescending, so completely lacking, devoid of any compassion for other people, refusing to even take a moment to understand the kind of pain they live in. And all that anybody ever had to do is just take themselves out of their little selfish bubble for just a moment. Just a moment. Okay, you live in Constantia. Just for a moment, pretend you don't, and just think about what these other people are going through. And maybe if you have a little bit of introspection, a little bit of reflection on what they might be going through, well, then you may be able to develop a little bit of compassion for them. Because ultimately, a lot of the people that are participating in this protest feel that this is their last resort. The government does nothing for them. Whoever they talk to, whether it be NGOs or charities or even just their fellow citizens, they're just not interested in listening. It's always just a thing of, oh, you're just a xenophobe. So my question to Jordan Hill Lewis and Cyril Ramaphosa and all these people is, what did you think was going to happen? You showed these people no thought, no compassion. You've never attempted to help them. You've never even done something so simple as just simply addressing the problem, or simply acknowledging, hey, there is a problem and it is illegal immigration and it is government failure. That is the reason why it exists. Never done any of it. And so, as somebody who's been through immense pain in my life, as I mentioned on October 7th, and I'm sure many of you have big pain like that as well, well, all I have to say is you brought it upon yourselves. These people are doing this because they feel like it is their last resort. And so ultimately, my view is this: provided that this can be peaceful and that there is no violence, and I cannot stress that enough, provided that this remains peaceful and that there is no violence, I support March and March, because it is the only way to ever get the government's attention. The government has proven that they are not interested in listening to ordinary South Africans and fixing the problems that exist. And while there is the GNU, we've seen that the GNU partners, they may have good intentions, but they're pretty much powerless compared to the ANC. And so ultimately, what we have now, at least until 2029, is a situation where people don't really have the ability to ask the government to fix things. They basically have to force the government to fix things through intimidation. It's ugly, I know, but it really does seem at this moment in time that March and other kinds of social pressure are the only ways that anybody in South Africa is ever going to get anything done. And so, look, I'm absolutely open to hear any of your thoughts. If you have any alternative solutions that you reckon, could come about, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I'm always happy to have open dialogue with everybody. I don't believe in berating people or taking like one side 100%. I try my very best to be open-minded, and that's also what this channel is about, is that it's an exchange of ideas. I'm not a political party member or somebody that's trying to push a specific ideology. I really just analyze what's going on and try to make sense of it. And yeah, I'm always happy to hear your thoughts. And if you do agree with what I say, or if it simply just resonates with you, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And yeah, let's just, keep our heads about us, and hope that March and March goes off without a hitch and that it's peaceful. But let's also hope that the government takes note that the people of South Africa are tired of being neglected, because ultimately enough is enough. And yeah, until next time, I'm Matthew Cohen, and this is the Power Pod.